here in our front head. I'll give a little bit of more detail on the seated headed arm. I feel like people have been liking that. So whether I go for the guillotine or the seated headed arm is going to depend on where his elbow position is. If I want to just force the guillotine, I can just insert my knee like in the shoulder pocket here over his hand, and then I'll grab it and I'll look for the guillotine here. So right here, you guys can press a grip, whatever grip that you guys want to do. Windshield wiper, head to the mat. Control the hip on the inside and on the outside, and then the finish is usually just like a crunching motion like this for a regular guillotine. If Frank's arm is just like lazy and I can just put my knee on the outside here, I can go for the seated headed arm. Similar to the guillotine, I'm going to do kind of like that shift so I can get my arm nice and deep and it'll poke out over here. Then you can do like a gable or an S grip, and instead of falling this way, I'm just going to fall backward. I just want to keep the tension in my arm touching like basically it's groundwork. So basically falling backward, and it's pretty tight once you have that. Once you shift this way, similar to a guillotine, you get it really nice and tight, and then just fall backward. And then the finishing motion is pulling. And in some cases a crunching, but you guys will want to just basically adjust based on how you feel. So that's number 2. 3 is maybe I go for this guillotine. As I go, he starts to roll. And again, we end up in this position that we were just drilling in the situationals. From here, if he's not paying attention, he just has his arm up and he's being lazy, you can totally swing your hand to the far side like this and basically get like the guillotine that you're wanting anyway. So you can totally just swing all the way and start to get just like a no arm guillotine, although I don't recommend it. I would stay here, pull his arm up, look for this anaconda. So pulling his arm up, you can use your legs if you're having trouble keeping his arm up. You can get your legs in play here so you can have his arm to lock it up. Again, when I lock it up, I want his arm up because then his shoulder's not really in the equation. If I try to lock it up with his shoulder like this, like downward, even if I do lock it up, it just like he's got like this whole shoulder in the choke, so I can't really put the pressure on that well. Whereas if I bring it up, I go across, there's no shoulder in the choke. I'm moving this locking hand as far up as possible, and it feels like he's almost gonna slip out, but it just means it's pretty tight. And then again, the finishing action is going to be, I'm gonna pull my elbow back, but also walk it into his head. So it's kind of like a neck crank, but also a choke. And then if you want to be really mean, you can also grab the leg here so he can't relieve any of that pressure. So we're here, and then we'll walk in. And now that you have his leg, there's nowhere for him to go. So that's number 3. So we have guillotine, we have seated headed arm, we have anaconda. So the next one we'll do is the darce. So basically Frank will defend the anaconda, and basically I'll take this locking arm that I usually have and I'll reach all the way across and this far side arm, so he can't really build that much base, since he needs to actually base on his elbow to get up. So which allows me to get up here. And now we're in this perfect position where we can take that locking arm, and I'm kind of just doing a handoff. I'm shifting my body, and kind of like when you shift your arm for the guillotine, I'm getting this hand nice and high, and I have his arm and his head here. So you guys all know this is going to be the Darce. Again, like, I want to keep his head, his posture broken down. So even though I'm shooting this way, I will be grabbing like the top of his head, like this. If I don't, then that's one of the defenses. You'll like posture really hard, and then it's like going to be really hard to lock. You're going to have to switch to something else. So while I have his head, I'm going to keep it. And then when I connect, I'm keeping pressure on the back of his head using my arm. So it's like I kind of just slide and get my lock. Once I get my lock, again, like I want to move up so that this locking hand is like all the way up at the shoulder. And it's gonna feel like when we get it right that he's gonna slip out. But it's not, it's just, I wanna move it up as high as I can. And then the finishing mechanic is going to be, I'm gonna push my chest down on this arm, while I pull the elbow upward. So it's kind of like everything is closing in. So I'm here, I'm gonna push in and bring this choking arm up. So we'll go all the way to the top real quick. I don't think I need to review these two all that much. There's the guillotine, there's the head and arm, and roll. Now the anaconda, I want to keep this up. I'm going to go all the way up to the shoulder. And then there's always that like aspect of the finish where I'm rotating here. I'm like sucking that elbow in, plus compressing the head. And then as Frank turns a little bit, I want to grab that bottom arm, come up myself, transition to